Any minute now.
Welcome to Dental Unscripted, where Mike Dinzio and Paula Quinn break down the practice ownership journey, one episode at a time. Starting up, buying, and running a successful dental practice.
All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Dental Unscripted. My name's Mike Dinzio, you guys know, and Paula Quinn, my co-host, is here. Good morning. It's podcast day, next level. I'm excited. It's here we go. It's another day of a bunch of episodes. Hey guys, we do these live, so if you have questions, pipe in. We can push those up in front of the screen, but that doesn't happen very often. We'd love it to. What's that?
Because they're driving into work.
They're driving. Yeah, don't text and drive, folks. Don't do that. Yeah, so little housekeeping, guys and ladies. We're from the Midwest, so guys, ladies, sorry. It's all the same. Like, subscribe, Google reviews, all the things we love. We don't get a lot of that because I don't ask often, but I'm asking today. So please, when you park, when you get to the office, just pull up that little 5-star and hit it and give us some kudos. We don't make money doing this, but we do love doing it because it provides you guys so much information, just free, and hope you get a lot out of it. Today, we're going to discuss all things kind of wealth building, and there are some tools to do that. And one of those is 401k, and we are so blessed to have Caitlin Bryan with Kane Waters and Associates. They obviously are a powerhouse in the industry, have a fantastic reputation, and we love referring to them and them us, and they just know what they're doing. And so we're lucky to have someone like Caitlin on the team today for today's podcast. So welcome to the show, Caitlin. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So are you in Dallas? Is that the background in Dallas?
I am in Dallas. Yes. Okay. And we had a big ice storm come through last week, but now we're sunny and 70, and that's how Texas rolls, right?
Oh,
did the world come apart? I know, like, it's in states like that, you're not used to that stuff. It's like
no school Monday through Thursday, kids home, chaos, working. It was a nightmare, but we got through it, and we had minimal sledding injuries, so we're calling it a win all the way around.
No sled injuries for the win. I love it. That's awesome. Last time I sledded, I that was not a win for me. My butt still hurts, but okay, cool.
We wouldn't even. I don't even think that would ever happen here. Maybe.
No. You're gonna get
some of the states. It doesn't really happen in, but yeah, we didn't.
You guys get sunburned.
There you go.
Well, look, guys. Today's topic is all about financial wealth. We're gonna really deep dive into some 401k stuff. And before we kind of do that, I always like to tee up the guests. So, Caitlin, why don't you tell us just a little bit about your company? I know you guys do a lot.
Sure.
Would you mind just kind of giving us, if our audience doesn't even know who you are, just
Absolutely.
A little bit about you guys? Yeah.
So we are Kane Waters and Associates. We've been around for over 40 years. We specialize, initially we got our start in the dental world, providing business consulting, not in terms of how to run your hygiene more efficiently or your front office should answer the phone, but hey, here's some metrics you can look at, or when should you be increasing prices, or where do you fall compared to your peers? Financial review, tax saving strategies. We also have we're a CPA firm as well, a full CPA, tax and accounting, and then we also now handle investments. So this is actually, I'm going to really age myself here. I'm starting my 17th year at Kane Waters. So I have been around the block with them the whole time, at least half the time. And I lead our wealth management group. So now I focus primarily on investments. I've actually stepped back from the dental world a little bit and more focused on investments in general for everybody, any high net worth individual that wants to put money on platform can certainly come through our group. And we do have 401k specialists that just work with clients who want to open 401ks. But as a firm, our bread and butter is dental review, business planning, tax strategy planning. Our goal is that we save you our fee plus a lot more that you can save right back into our platform.
I love that. Well, it makes tons of sense to have your CPA who helps you really plan tax events and large liquidity events to match that with a financial plan. That's a big miss. I think that's huge that you guys do that. I was on the phone yesterday with someone that just bought a practice, Paul, one of our clients up in Camp Verde, and they're making money. And I'm like, what are you doing with it? And they don't really know.
I was about to say that. It was one of the things I was going to say. I've been in dentistry for, I'll date myself, 35 years. And
I'm not so sure about that.
I'm
not thinking so.
I think dentists didn't even think about 401ks. Well, maybe for themselves, some, but definitely not for team. This is like amazing that we're having this. But anyways, what did the dentist up there, you just said, hey, you should.
Well, it's just not even on their radar. And I think dentists in general see the sale of their practice as being that big event. And what I was raised thinking about this stuff from age 15, 14. And I put $25 a month away in high school. Like, right. It's just the little disciplines that just
ingrained in you from good parents.
It was my mom, not my dad. My dad took the path of, oh crap, I've got 5 years left and the government lets me put way more in. So I'll put my entire salary to try to catch up.
I call that giving us a bigger Band-Aid. Those extra catch-up years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And so, but my mom put that in and I just have seen it. So Next Level put a 401k in, and it's, I know this is not HR compliant, but I require every employee to put away because it means that much to me. And air quotes require. So let's just talk about it. Okay. So saving a lot of money over time obviously builds much bigger buckets. So you buy a practice, you start a practice, which is a lot of the stuff that we do over at Next Level. Caitlin, let's just start with a huge softball. You'll knock it out of the park. Why even a 401k? Why does it make sense to even implement this in a practice?
Sure.
Take it from there. It's a loaded question, I know.
So every dollar that comes home from the dental practice is subject to income tax, right? So what if we could limit the dollars that come home and not pay tax on every dollar? So instead of paying tax on the dollar, we're going to take a tax deduction for every dollar we put into that 401k plan. We find, almost 10 out of 10 times that we can fully cover our staff costs, what the money we're rewarding our staff in the 401k plan with the taxes saved from the plan. So we're basically taking the money that we would be giving to Uncle Sam and we're giving it to our employees instead. And at the same time, we're rewarding ourselves with a bucket that grows tax deferred, right? Or tax free if you elect Roth. So tax deferred means the money goes in the pot. You get a tax deduction for it today. Let's say it's $30,000 and that $30,000 grows to be $100,000 in 20 years. When you only pay taxes when you pull that money out. So everything that's growing for the next 20 years, you're not paying any tax on those dollars. It's a huge win. You get compounding growth because it just sits in your account and continues to grow. The other thing that's really awesome about a 401k is if you talk to anyone in the real world, salary deferral, W-2, you don't think about it. It's automatic. It's automatic saving that's coming out of your paycheck. And you one day wake up and you get your statement. You're like, oh my gosh, look how much I saved.
That's such a special thing. Like forcing some of our employees to get on the plan. I'm like, hey, our admin, I'll shout out and just say that, like, hey, good. I remember her first raise. I was like, hey, good news. You just got a raise. Bad news is you're not going to feel it. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I'm giving you a raise for exactly 4% of what we're going to match. And you're not even going to feel it. And there'll be a day that I hope she calls me in 50 years and says, or maybe I'm dead by then, but she's like, holy crap, that grew for me. So you're 100% right. And I don't think dentists probably sell it like that to their employees. They just kind of offer it. But there's huge opportunity there in the tax savings. So
no doubt about it. And I actually have a sidebar funny story about what you just said. When
okay.
I started at Kane Waters, I was here for a year and we all got our raises. And one of the planners came up to me and was like, "Hey, what are you going to do with your raise?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know yet." And he's like, "Well, did anything in your life change?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Then you don't need it. Put it all in the 401k." It was like very, very matter of fact. Okay. Well, now 17 years later, I have a pretty good, bucket of money in the 401k plan. And I saw him a few weeks ago and I was like, I give this advice to clients all the time. Did anything in your life change? No, then you don't need this money. Let's go ahead and save it. And he didn't even remember telling me that. And it was like earth-shattering news to me 17 years ago. And I was like, no, this is all thanks to you. And he was like, glad I could help.
They call those lollipop moments. I don't know if
Right?
you guys have heard that before,
No.
but look it up, Google it. I think it's a TED Talk. But when someone lollipops you like that, there's a whole thing about it. TED Talk it. It's pretty cool. You can send people lollipops years later.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, Paula, why don't you tee us off here with the first question, and Caitlin can kind of spearhead this conversation.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking like a couple things. We do a lot of startups, and with our startups, they always, they're cash poor. They just started practice. They've got their student loan, they've got their now office loan or whatever, and they always say, "What?" I can't really provide benefits. Like, what benefits can I provide? And I do always say, I think 401k is probably the one of the most, I say cheapest, which is maybe Caitlin, you can give me a better verbiage than that. But it's basically like, you're matching what they put in up to a certain percent. It's a great benefit that you can provide to them. But they will sometimes say to me, they don't really care about that. They care about the dollar per hour. So I do want to ask you about that. But also I wanted to say, when I was opening my practice, or when I purchased my practice, it was something I wanted to offer. And I just felt like there were a lot of parameters around it, like the matching and people contributing. So I don't know if those go hand in hand, but I kind of feel like they do, because, here I'm giving them advice to do it, but then I think there's like some matches that have to happen and some investment that has to happen for that to come to fruition. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about that? Because these, they're going to go out and they're going to, not know what they have to do to maybe qualify for this, and what they have to offer to be able to offer this to their employees.
Sure. That also is kind of a loaded question, but let's just like back it up a little bit and talk about, what it takes to have a plan and how you start it, and then how people even get into the plan. So I'm always going to approach this. Typically, we're approaching it from our client perspective, which is the owner, right? Not the employee. Although it makes a sticky employee to offer this benefit, because it shows that you care about them, right? Hey, I want you to save. I want you to retire. And whether they appreciate it or not, they're getting some of those same benefits other places. So it makes you a little bit more competitive from, a benefit standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I'll say is if they're not valuing it, it's because you're not doing a good job telling them what it is, because they should be valuing it. So the number of times, and we talk about, when you're funding your employer contribution and you're actually putting in that match, it's happening after the fact, right? So employer contributions going in for 2025 aren't even due until September 15th, 2026. So think about that. They've already made their money for 2025. They moved on. And now you're going back and putting more money in the pot for them in 2025. At some point, you should be sitting down with your employees and saying, hey, this is not just your gross wages. Let's go over your compensation package. Okay. Here is what I put into the plan for you this year. Here's what I'm planning to put into the plan for you next year. This is your health insurance benefit, whatever benefits you offer, and then sum it all up. And that will be a much more impactful number to the associate than maybe just the gross wages of X numbers, $15 an hour, or whatever it is that you're paying your front desk staff, et cetera.
I love that, Caitlin, that you're teeing it up, because it's just like dentistry, and Paula coaches our clients on teaching them to communicate the value to the patient so the patients say yes. It's all about that tee up, right? It's like, if you're not putting the energy deserved into the conversation, it won't have the same impact. And that goes for explaining to your employees the benefits, also goes into 100%. The patient saying yes to treatment. It's the same thing. Tee it up. We also say, when we're giving bonuses out, like, put it in envelopes and make it a cash event. and like literally count cash in front of your team, even if it's $200, who cares? Sure. It's a huge impact if you spend the time versus just saying, oh yeah, look in your Gusto account tomorrow. It's in there. Like, blah.
Ooh, my favorite bonus story I heard was that one of the dentists took his staff out and gave them $500 in an envelope and told them they couldn't get back into the limo until it had all been spent. This is not about little Johnny's tennis shoes. This is you, mom, go treat yourself and you buy something you wouldn't normally buy. Get back in the car. We're going to share what everyone bought over lunch.
We did that. And any money they didn't spend, they had to give back.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah, show their receipts that it was on them, like you said, and not.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Okay, so how complex are these plans? Like, is it? I know they're regulated. I think that was what
Sure.
Paul's question was. Is like, what? How is it complex? Like, what goes into it?
I'm not gonna lie. This is going to be a little bit of a headache. It's not an easy process because there's a lot of governing bodies that go into it. And the whole point is the government wants to make sure that if you are getting a benefit out of this plan and you are getting tax deductions as the owner, that you are in fact sharing that with your staff. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. And that's why there's all these, tricks and games and classes of individuals is in a non-discriminatory basis. So yes, it is slightly complicated, but I'll tell you, if you have the right team in place, it's really smooth sailing. So we work with providers. Kane Waters does not do like third-party administration, but we have people who we refer to who do this work day in and day out, who can bucket plan people into the right places. And like I said, I'm approaching this from the standpoint of the owner. Our job is to get as much money into the bucket for you and as little as we can for your staff. Now, we can always choose to put more in for them, sure, but ultimately we're creating this plan as a tax vehicle for you. The staff are getting it as a bonus. Yes, it makes them sticky. Yes, it creates retention, but the reality is we wouldn't be opening this if we weren't trying to get you a benefit in the plan, right?
I love that. Yeah.
You can certainly set parameters into who is even eligible to be in this plan to begin with. So if you have, a practice of 8 people, and all 8 are going to get in, you can set minimum requirements. Or the most stringent the IRS allows is 1 year of service. You don't get in this plan unless you've worked for me for 12 full months. You're over the age of 21 and you've worked over 1,000 hours. So if you have not met those parameters, then you don't even get to enter the plan in the first place. So that might weed out if you have the part-time employee that you're worried about, hey, they're going to get a benefit and they don't really contribute as much as I might want them to. They're actually not. They won't enter the plan.
I like that, Caitlin, because, but I will say this, like, and it kind of tees up my next question for you about costs and unforeseen expenses and stuff. But before I ask you that question, I will just kind of throw a blanket statement out that I'm always surprised, even as a business owner, how little it actually is to the company. I'm thinking that this, like, if I'm a listener, I'm thinking that this is super expensive for me to implement. And I thought that probably also when I first set it up, but it was important to me, which is why I asked Paula, and Paula's like, duh, of course. So we did it, but then now when I look back on it and what the company actually paid, and we do the max is 4%, the match max 4%. It's actually not that much because they're not making the same amount of money you and I are making as owners. So I think there should be a shift, a mind shift there about like, look, this isn't going to bankrupt you. They don't make that much money. You make all the money in the practice. Is there a better way to say that?
I think that's a great way to approach it. And there are different ways. So what you're talking about is a match on the deferral. So you are only rewarding people who are actually saving for themselves. That's one option. Another option is what's called the 3% safe harbor rule. And that is anybody that is eligible to be in the plan gets 3% of their salary, and that buys you, the owners, your salary deferral bucket with no limitations. So if you don't pass testing, there's a chance that you might put money in the bucket and the money comes back to you, and that is really frustrating because you like planned on it from a tax deduction standpoint. You have to pay for that 1099 to come out, and you're like, no, I don't want this back. I want that to grow tax deferred. But you didn't pass testing. So if
is it 3% safe harbor how you do that?
Yes. If you elect 3% safe harbor, then you automatically are tax exempt from a testing standpoint. You're going to get your full salary deferral bucket. So I would say, base case going in, be prepared to pay 3% of your employees' salaries for eligible employees. Remember, you get to set those parameters on what they are and who enters, but you have to do it on a non-discriminatory basis.
Wow, man, this is a lot more complex than I thought it was. I think Caitlin
I'm sitting here questioning how
we did it. That's right. So, I mean, that's a level up conversation. And
because if I got my money back, I'd be mad. I would be so frustrated.
that's
Right.
right. That's right. So Caitlin, like, before we move on to the next question, then, because you answered hidden costs or unforeseen kind of expenses and how that affects your account.
Sure.
Like, I mean, how many combinations are there? Is that a loaded question of implementing a 401k? I mean, forget the eligibility part, but
Sure.
just like the structure, how many options are there?
You mean like if you're involving your team or just as an actual
A team. Let's just say team, because that's what they should do is team. Yeah.
like a
I think we should like break it down like simply into two different buckets. Okay. So you typically have your salary deferral bucket. That's like 24,500 in 2026. It kind of grows a little bit with inflation every year, right? That's the bucket you get as long as you're paying your staff 3%. You can make that a default. Everyone gets 3%. They're 100% vested in that, which we'll get to in a little bit. They get to take it if they leave. They get that money outright. Or you can do what you were talking about, being the profit sharing plan match that also buys you that salary deferral bucket. On top of salary deferrals, you can sock away a large chunk of change through what's called an employer contribution. The employer contribution is only burdened by the employer. Only the employer is putting that money in there. So salary deferrals, your employees put money in, you put money in for yourself. The employer contribution is what are you putting in for your staff over and above that 3%. So if you want to fill your bucket to the max, you also have to give your employees additional compensation. And it's all based on what they're putting in the plan. So the more they save, the lower your overall costs. So you really do want to incentivize them, which is why you also want to be careful not to violate HR. You want to incentivize them to save not just for themselves, because it also makes your costs lower in the end.
Didn't even know that.
definitely not why he encouraged them. But
No, totally. But
Yeah.
I mean, the bucket right now, if you're less than 50, you can sock away $72,000 a year. If you're over 50, it's 80. And if you're the IRS's magical age of 60 to 63,
wait a minute.
83,250. Yes.
But Paula, you got to
Getting ripped off.
no, but Paula, you got to throw that back to the employees too. Is it by a percentage, Caitlin? then?
It's not, but I would say like a good tested plan is that the owner's going to get at least 80%.
I'm calling Caitlin when we hang up.
Call Caitlin.
Yeah, call me. You should be getting, I mean, again, it depends. If you have a bunch of associate doctors in there, really high paid, you can also choose to specifically exclude non-owner doctors. Huge. You're not giving them the benefit. You can exclude an entire class of people. So we almost always exclude non-owner dentists, unless we're trying to grow this to be an associate-led practice, right? And we want to reward them. That's a totally different conversation. But giving the hook for someone to buy into your practice into the future is when you buy in, you can have access to this plan.
So what I'm hearing is, although it's highly regulated and there's a lot of options, you as a business owner, you have a lot of fail safes as well for yourself. Like, like you just said, you can exclude, and you do have some control. You have options. You have some control, even though there's a lot of regulations on investing people's money and all that good stuff.
It's incredibly customizable, but you don't know what you don't know, which is why you have to know what questions to ask and like work with someone who is in this field specifically, because in the dental world, we can bifurcate employees into different buckets and strategize to make the most efficient. Maybe you want to reward hygiene more than dental assistants, or maybe you want to reward front office more than somebody else. Like, we can customize that plan, but ultimately the first proposal we're ever going to run is, how can we get you the most money with the least amount of staff costs? That's A. Okay, now you look at it and say, okay, well, actually, I want to reward this group more or less, et cetera. And we can go back and finagle the numbers, but your base case scenario, right?
That's amazing. Paula's totally lost all of her questions in her head, and now she's thinking totally about what she wants to do at next level. You're crushing the interview today, Caitlin. I think you got a new client already.
There we go. Hey, we'll take it.
Where do you want to take this next, Paula? I mean, there's lots that we could discuss.
Yeah. I think one of the things, what I've seen lately, and I don't know, this is kind of putting your feet to the fire, Caitlin. So forgive me. I have a lot of
Hot seat.
clients that sign up with payroll companies, Gusto, ADP, whatever. They've got
Sure.
options in there. Why would I, and maybe we just answered that with the last question, why would I choose you over just setting it up through something like that?
Through Gusto. Through Gusto.
That's the new age right now.
Sure.
Is oh well, Gusto has, you know, HR,
Benefit. Yeah.
401k, and I'm like, but yeah, why don't you tell the listeners the difference? Because they're always looking for the least expensive route. But what I'm hearing is they could be leaving lots of money on the table or not picking the right plan that benefits them the most. But I'll let you answer because you're the
I mean, I actually feel like you just nailed it.
I know. That's what, hey, Caitlin, that's what Paula does. She usually sells you
because I just heard it. So I'm like sitting here, but
no, totally. Well, basically what they're doing is how do you scale in that environment? You take one template and you apply it to everybody that walks in the door, and you're going to make them fit in your mold versus creating the mold around their needs, right? So they're going to say, here it is. This is what your staff cost is. Take it or leave it. Boom, go. There's no customization in there. There's no looking out for your best interest of like maximizing the amount that you specifically can put in the plan. It is putting you into their template and spitting out an answer. And I will tell you, in all of these, there's multiple, low cost, low fee. I don't know about you, but I have yet to walk across anyone that works for free. It just doesn't happen. There are fees. You just don't know how you're paying them. And the really tricky thing about investments, especially, being in the investment world, I love it when clients or potential clients say, oh, I don't pay an advisor fee. I'm like, well, gosh, that is so nice of them to work for free. Isn't that amazing? And you pull it up and they're like in all of these loaded mutual funds they had no idea they were in, right? Same thing here. There's revenue sharing in the mutual fund. So they might be picking more expensive investments and sending a kickback to themselves from whatever the investments they're choosing for you. And what I would tell you is run from that, because if you think about a 401k plan, it's your largest savings vehicle. Okay. So this is going to be a big account very quickly, right? And once the money's in, it compounds and your employees are putting money in. Do you want to pay fees as a percentage of the assets, or do you want to pay fees based on what the work is being done? So we always encourage third-party administrators should be a flat fee. I am paying you for the service you're doing, not based on my account balance, right? Anything tied to your account balance is going to grow with you. And yet you're offering the exact same service. So
yeah, never choose the percentage. Choose the flat rate. I love that. Did you're like a wealth, no pun intended, wealth of knowledge. So I want to pivot real quick. Let's try to get some more great questions in here. I know the answer to this because I, again, had great parents and I understand this, but I don't think a lot of people do understand this. So for high earners, what's better, traditional pre-tax contributions or Roth? And I'd love for you to give the answer and as to why that is. Yeah.
Okay. So high income earners, the answer is almost always going to be traditional, because your tax bracket today is higher than it will be in retirement. I mean, even some of our wealthiest clients are in roughly the 22% effective tax rate, because we have strategies to pull down money from buckets in the most strategic way possible, right? So if you're in the 37% plus estate tax now, and you could be at 20 in retirement, absolutely you want to take the tax deduction now. But I'm a devil's advocate myself here for a minute, okay? I think in the perfect world, when you get to retirement, you have money in every bucket. You have taxable, you have tax deferred, and you have some Roth. So 401ks, absolutely tax deferred. But you can also fund an IRA and every year. And if you don't have any other IRAs, you can backdoor to a Roth every single year and get a little bit of Roth money in for free. So you absolutely want to do that.
So is there not a cap in income in letting the government allowing you to contribute to Roth?
There is a cap. Okay, so but this is the loophole to the cap. Again,
Yeah, I'm
why
teeing
you
you
need
up.
an advisor, right?
I'm
So
literally teeing you up.
okay, let me knock it out of the park. You can fund a traditional IRA. And again, if you make too much money to fund a Roth, you probably make too much money to even get a tax deduction for your IRA contribution. So you put the money in anyways because you want to fund the bucket, you want the tax deferred growth, the basis will carry with you on your tax return. But if you don't have any other IRAs, you can flip that money to a Roth account tax free. And now you just got $8,000 into a Roth account. But it's a once a year. The door opens and closes, and once it closes, you can't go back and fund anymore. But you can still fund for 2025 up until April 15th, 2026. So if you haven't funded your IRAs, go fund them right now.
Okay. So it's the flip. It's not the ongoing contributions, but it's the flipping of the account that makes that work.
Your 401k, you're going to want to be tax deferred, but I want to challenge you. Okay, if you're doing a 401k plan and you're getting those tax savings, let's save those dollars. You were going to pay those dollars in taxes. Let's make sure we're saving them. If we instead take our tax savings and we increase our lifestyle by the amount of taxes we just saved, we're in the same position as if we had done Roth long term, right? We didn't get any benefit out of those dollars. You want to take your tax savings and save them versus add them to your lifestyle.
That's an interesting way of that's a great perspective. I think everybody chases the savings and they don't think about the delta of what they saved.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really interesting way of putting that. Good one. Okay, Paula, you're up. Rapid fire.
Well, I think we should pivot a little bit to. We do quite a bit of buyer rep. We represent young buyers looking to buy a practice. So I'm sure their heads going here when they see that a dentist, the seller already has like a 401k with a large employer contribution.
Mm-hmm.
They probably worry, what's that going to look like when they go to sell? Does that look like an unnecessary expense to a buyer? Like how do you navigate that in that when they get there? I mean, they're looking at that, purchasing a practice, and then someday they're going to be in that same boat.
Mm-hmm.
And are they purchasing 100% sale, like a walkaway sale, or are they joining forces with somebody else?
Typically, 100%.
Typically, it's a walkaway. It's
okay. So I actually spoke with NDP Transitions partner, Christy Ratcliffe, on this one, just to make sure all they do is dental transitions and help with that. And in a walkaway sale, the plan is typically closed. Nobody's going to want to pick up the liability of an old pension plan. So they will close the plan. There will be no cost in there. And then you can set up your own plan. I think the only, if you're thinking about this from a buyer perspective, is if they had a plan before and you take it away and you don't offer it, that could present a problem. Definitely. So you could certainly look at what those costs may be. But again, go back to what is the plan actually costing you on a staff standpoint? It's not that much. Most of the bang for your buck is what you're putting in for yourself. And that's an owner benefit. That wouldn't be an ongoing expense. So I think maybe just that 3% safe harbor is what I would include kind of going forward as the ongoing expense, but understand that will be under a separate plan, not a continuance of the current plan.
Thanks for clearing that up. I think that's really smart. You're not taking over the seller's plan. You're starting your own. Real quick question, because we advise this, and maybe we don't know the answer perfectly, but you're spot on. You can't take benefits away unless you're willing to have people have like pickets outside the office or something like that. It's really important to keep those team members in place transitionally anyways. How long does it take to put a plan together? I always say have the meeting with the team, tell them that nothing's changing. It might take a minute to get a new plan established, but you're absolutely getting a new plan and details to follow. How long does it take? And do you typically ask the seller for their plan details and then you guys try to match it, or what's that dance look like? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does. And I would say no, because I don't know that it matters what the previous doctor was doing. They were a different age. They might have had a different, amount they could save, et cetera. We want to build this new plan around you, and we want to reward the employees on a plan that works for the new buyer, not for the seller, right? And those benefits, again, for them are going to be very similar. If they were giving extra on top of the salary deferral match or on top of the safe harbor, what those numbers look like, or how, if they're rewarding specific departments, maybe you would want to know that piece. But I think generally speaking, you're going to build the plan that works for you. And it's a very quick setup, to be honest. It's a lot quicker than you might think. It's a legal work. I would say start to finish, you could be done in a month.
Mhm.
And what's even crazier is, again, I mean, we so operate in these silos of years, like, right, we make our New Year's resolutions on January 1st, 2026 of like, here's what I want to do for 2026. But in the tax world and in the pension world, we are still very much living in 2025, because you can actually still go open a plan for last year and fund it for 2025. So there is opportunity to even go back and fix some things from the prior year if you haven't opened it yet.
One of my most favorite things about that, accountants and retirement stuff, it's like, I'm not done with that. I know it.
I always feel like when I ask a question, it's always like, no, you missed the 2025 mark.
It's lots of
Like,
windows.
I think I was like doing the catch up, and they're like, oh, nope, you had to do it by December 30th.
Yes.
Like, everything I ask, I'm too late.
The only piece that has to be in the plan, in the tax year, is the salary deferral. And why is that? Because it comes out of your paycheck. And that December 31st paycheck is the last paycheck for that tax year. So salary deferrals, you can't go back, but employer contributions, absolutely.
And anything extra you want to do also, Paula.
That's the employer. Yeah.
I thought the catch up was extra. I was just gonna write a check and get it done, but apparently that's not a thing.
That's great.
What else, Caitlin? We're 35 minutes in, I think. I guess I would want to know, Kane Waters and Associates is huge. You do a lot of different things there.
Sure.
I mean, what would you want the dentist out there to know? We've talked a lot about 401k. We dabbled on Roth. We talked about buying and selling a little bit. Obviously, offering this to your employees and the ease and maybe the cost, because we're in it for the dentist and it's a cherry on top to provide it. What are some tidbits or things you can advise them on that, like, is it different state to state? Is it different where you are in your career, what you can offer? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I don't know. I guess I'm just wondering, are there some last minute things you'd want the listeners to hear about, why
What you guys do?
what do you do? Yeah.
So it's not different state to state. This is all federally regulated, right? I think the biggest takeaway is the whole purpose of this plan is for you, the owner, to save money. So if it doesn't work for you, we're certainly not going to recommend it. I mean, again, you can do it for the benefit of your staff, but these plans should pay for themselves. You are either going to pay the money in taxes, or you can take that same money and you can pay it to your staff. Who would you rather reward? Run the numbers and let's see where they fall out. And if it's not a great fit because you have 30 staff and only one doctor, then okay, that's not going to work. Then we don't do it, right? But once you have the proposal, you'll know the amount that you can save. You'll know the taxes saved, and you're going to see that 9 times out of 10, these plans pay for themselves with the taxes saved, and you get to reward your employees. It's truly like the easiest sell. It's a slam dunk. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't get a proposal. It doesn't even cost money to get a proposal. How about that? It's free.
Okay.
This is free knowledge. And
it costs something, but for our program, it's free.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, if you sign up through Dental Unscripted, then you get a discount of nothing. It's free.
Yeah.
There we go.
What about, okay, so let's say I do it. It doesn't really pan out for me financially for whatever reason. I have 30 employees and one of me. What would be the next option? So I don't set up a plan for the actual practice and the team. Is there another, what would I invest in then to save money for myself?
What opportunities do you guys offer other than just 401k, but just financial advising?
Sure. I mean, so in that case, you would always want to fund your IRA. You want to do that anyways, whether you get the tax deduction or not. And then you would want to open a taxable investment account to make sure you're starting to save those dollars. Listen, 2 things happen to every dollar. You save it or you spend it. Those are your only options. And if you're spending it, all you're doing is increasing your lifestyle, and that becomes your new level of normal. You're never going to go back and spend less, I assure you. My favorite retirement comment is when people are like, well, I'm going to downsize in retirement. So you can plan on, a couple million coming out of my house. I have not had one client downsize in terms of dollars, or maybe you have less square footage, but now you want the penthouse in New York. It is the same cost. Okay. So you're not also going to downgrade your lifestyle. So it's setting the healthy habits now to get the money tucked away. The beautiful thing about a retirement plan is that you can't access the money until you're 59 and a half
So
for
you're
savings. It's kind of locked up.
goodness.
Right? Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
Michael hated this saying, and I say it all the time, and I don't know where I got it. A luxury one's taste becomes a necessity.
That is, it's beautiful. Well said. Yes.
So
It's a mouthful, but it comes up.
It doesn't matter, you
I
know.
would write that one down. Maybe ping that one to me after this. That was good.
Oh, it's her favorite, and I got to hear it all the time. You know, someone.
First he thought it was really rude, and then he's like, "It's true.
It's
Like,
true.
It's true,
Guys, like
it's true."
I'll just let this go and kind of tie this up in a bow. Like I will go back to the comment that if you are in ownership, and that's what we at Next Level and Dental Unscripted is all about, is helping doctors make great decisions, get into ownership, create real wealth for yourself. Just the ownership of the practice and just the ownership of the real estate, that does pretty good for you. It's better than just being an associate, 100%. But if you could layer on paying yourself over the next 20 years, that pays even bigger. And the sale of the practice and the sale of your assets is a cherry on top. If you could imagine it, that is a cherry, not the thing. And it's sad. It's sad when I'm negotiating as a buyer rep against a practice broker, and I have one right now in Wyoming. And she, the seller, has a number that she has to hit, and her practice is not worth that. And she is sitting on market and will continue to sit on market because she has to have her number, because that's her retirement plan, because she didn't do what we talked about today. And here the buyers is like, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. And I'm not buying that. So instead of thinking about that huge, hopefully huge payout in the end of your retirement, how about take control of that? So Caitlin gave us some great tips today. She works with a great firm that knows what they're doing and is dental specific, not Gusto or whatever is out there. You guys should do it. It's free with your listening subscription of Dental Unscripted. And we would love for you guys to take advantage of that. So Caitlin, thanks so much for your time today. It was
Absolutely.
Caitlin.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a great day, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Let us know how you like the show. Rate us on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe and follow for more.